Hey everyone, I'm the chess dev Roland Titan, and I've been making a game called Titan's Battalion, which is really a terrible name for what is essentially a way for different chess variants to fight each other. It's a system. We have 10 armies that we've actually chosen and that we're balancing. So stuff like chess, of course, Jangi, Shang-Chi, Shogi, and then there's a bunch of other like miscellaneous ones. A couple of the armies are our own creation, and then some are based off of the works of other devs. So Spartan Chess is included, for example, by Steven Streetman. And yes, we have their permission. But we recently, um, we had a thing where we were trying to figure out how to give extra material to the armies that needed it. So, for example, I'll just make a 15 wide board real quick and put down, what is that, N2? So the 9x2 battlefield. And you would pick chess, and then as black, you can pick Shang-Chi. Where is it? There it is. Boom, you're playing the Shang-Chi army. And anyone who knows both of these games knows this is not balanced, right? So how do you give extra material to that army if you want to? Well, what we had done before is what is called the Rampart system, where we put an extra rank behind that you can only leave and not enter unless you're capturing. And just give them their stuff there. And we did this for all of the variants we couldn't change the layout for. So we also did this for Shogi, and we also did this for Jungi, which is has basically the same layout as Shang-Chi, but it starts one forward, and the pieces are supposed to be octagonal and not circular. All right. But what we realized is that extra rank still felt really weird, and especially the additional rules we had to put in. So you either have the extra rank in full or not at all. The idea was based off of Shaco, a game by Jean-Luc Cazot. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I have French heritage, but I haven't been around people who speak French at all. All right. Doesn't work. So, after a lot of testing and trial and error, we had to come up with another solution. And the main alternative was Sarawan gating from Sarawan chess. Now, Sarawan chess, or S chess, also is just a variant played on the regular 8x8 board that includes the Warlord and the Chancellor, which is the Bishop and Knight combo and the Rook and Knight combo. Well, how do you fit those additional two pieces on the board? You don't. When you move a piece off of the back rank for the first time, you are able to summon those two pieces in the square you moved from. So essentially, those two additional pieces already exist somewhere. You just have to uncover them, right? It's called Sarawan gating. So this is the system we are now using. And because of that, we had to shift around what materials we did. And because this rework of Ramparts was pending, we ended up holding off a Shang-Chi rework, and we had to make both of them happen at the same time. So this big change happened right after the last tournament. Speaking of which, next tournament is February 17th at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you want to join that, ask about it in the Discord and we'll direct you to the right links. Okay. Well, let's go over what the reinforcements actually are now, because in addition to that, we were trying to determine what the best way to do match-specific reinforcements were. And we determined that they don't work if you're doing all of them. So most of the big reinforcements, if you have them change between matchups, change the feel of the game so much that it isn't possible to make it feel like a unified system. However, small differences, so things like additional pawns, do work. But pawns don't exist on the back rank, so how do we, if we want to supply pawn class pieces as a balancing agent, do that? So that means that the other reinforcements, Saruman gating, became back rank reinforcements, or backline reinforcements, and frontline reinforcements we styled it off of Sino chess, which is just, you take the pawn rank, and just as a turn, you're able to place the additional pieces on that pawn rank. And currently, there's only one army in the game utilizing frontline reinforcements, and ironically, it is the Jungi army, which is ironic because Sino chess is based a bit off of Jungi. It uses Jungi pawn line and Jungi cannons, despite having a goal of playing like Shang-Chi versus chess. So we have a game here between the Jungi army and the Shogi army with that in action. So these are the additional reinforcements for Jungi, these are the additional reinforcements for Shogi, and I'm just going to quickly run through a game. To those that have been following along, these are the same exact reinforcements you had before for Jungi, but the Shogi reinforcements changed. They used to be 2 lances and 2 knights, so 2 of this piece, 2 of this piece, but now they are a bishop and a rook. And just to make everyone not feel intimidated, I'm going to force Westernize. That way you can see pieces that you can more easily recognize while I walk through the game. Okay. So this piece can move and capture forward and sideways. It promotes on the back rank to one of these 4 pieces. This piece moves and captures forward. It has a battlefield movement, so this blue area of 1 non-capturing sideways. And it promotes on the enemy's back 3 ranks to a gold general. This is a Jungi elephant, which moves first orthogonally 1 square and then diagonally 2. It doesn't move or capture on the in-between squares, it's just blockable there. So right now this piece could legally go to that square. It can capture here, it can go back, but it can't go this way because of the king and this, and it can't go on either of the sideways because the soldiers are in the way. Very limited piece. This is a utilization of the battlefield movement to open up the Shogi lance, which only moves and captures forward. It promotes on the back 3 ranks to a gold general, to have a line on the cannon. Cannons, by the way, have a loading rule, so they cannot capture or within the... They cannot capture outside of your territory, which is this area, within the first 4 turns. And that's to prevent, since the opening starts like this, if this was pointed at like a queen or something, you wouldn't insta-kill it. And that's what they were keeping track of here with the numbers. Alright. They did this so the lance could kill the cannon anyway, which I think is a mistake, personally. Especially because they gated in their rook. This moves and captures exactly like a chess rook, but it has a promotion on the back 3 ranks, which also gives it a 1 square diagonal move and capture. Teaching everyone how to play both Jungi and Shogi today, apparently. This is a horse, so it's exactly like a chess knight in what squares it goes to, but it's blockable. It moves first orthogonally, then diagonally. And it can't move or capture on that first square, so it's just blockable. So at this time, you can treat it like a chess knight because none of the blocking squares are filled. So it just goes here. And then they shogi dropped a cannon here. In shogi, every piece you capture belongs to you. So if you're playing the shogi army, you apply that both ways, where anything that your opponent captures goes to their hand and can be replayed. So right now, the Jungi player has a lance in hand, and the shogi player had a cannon in hand and now has placed it here. So the elephant moves here, again, orthogonal and then diagonal, and then gates in a rook in order to get this here where it's protected and to re-protect the horse. And they did it anyway, so they promoted their rook and they gated in the bishop. So now both of the reinforcements for shogi are gone and they're on the board. This moves exactly like a chess bishop, except it promotes on the enemy's back 3 ranks to be able to also move and capture orthogonally. So king plus bishop when promoted, bishop by default, and this is currently king plus rook. When you capture a piece in shogi, it depromotes, so that applies. Which is something different from Crazy House for people familiar with that drop variant. Rook in hand, just killed it. But they have a horse in hand now. And the bishop goes here and they grab a soldier. So shogi is just immediately trying to launch a full attack. And to be honest, they can kind of afford to. So they trade a bishop for 2 soldiers. And then the silver goes for the cannon. So right now they have amassed enough pieces in hand that they are in what's probably a shogi endgame, where king safety is low enough that by dropping pieces back on the board, one of the players should be able to mate, and it's a race. The gold general, which just moves, it moves as a rook to 1, and it moves and captures on the forward squares, which gives it this pattern. Which, if I look at it from the black player's perspective, that's exactly how the piece is shaped in this app. And I'll play the rest of the game looking at it from this perspective. No, I'll just switch back and forth for when it matters for these types of pieces. Because the Jungi player just traded a cannon for this silver general. Oh, the cannon... It's like a rook, but you have to have exactly one intervening piece. So it captures and moves here and here, and it's also defending this piece, right? But it's... Yeah. And it can't capture enemy cannons, and it can't jump over enemy or ally cannons. Alright. And I'll wait till the silver gets played to describe how that moves. Ooh, lance drop. Soldier gets in the way, trades, bishop promotes. The rook captures here, and the horse reinforcement is gated in. The soldier blocks the horse's ability to kill this bishop and threatens the horse. And that's a drop from hand. But that means, yeah, rook trade. So both players get each other's rook in hand. This rook is a normal rook, except it doesn't promote. So, a normal chess rook. It turns out rooks are really common in chess variants, and knight-like pieces, across the entire lineage of the game. It's like those shapes are significant or something on a grid. And it's like they're based off of the same source game at some point. The rook just walks right in. He gets blocked by the silver general, which moves like a bishop to 1, and then all of the forward squares, giving it this exact pattern, which you also see on the piece. And then they trade for the silver. Rook drop from hand. Block. Another rook drop. Block. Take with promotion. Take. Promotes because it leaves. So, shogi promotions are when you enter or leave or move within the territory. So basically every time you take your turn to interact with a piece that also messes with a square in the promotion zone, or the enemy camp as it's called in shogi. Lance drop. Elephant takes. Rook drop. Soldier drop. Horse drop. Shogi pawn drop. Oh, by the way, it is illegal for shogi pawns to have two of them owned by the same player in the same column. That's important for this. That is a guard. So a guard moves and captures forward and sideways, but it's also notable jangi pieces, right? So, and I'm going to point these out purposefully. The jangi rook, the jangi cannon, the jangi soldier, and the jangi guard and the jangi king, right? They all have orthogonal movements. So this moves as a rook to 1. But it cannot leave the palace. That's not to say that it can't be dropped outside of the palace once it's in hand. It's that if it is in the palace, it can't leave, right? Two different things. But these diagonals are called the halls, and they let orthogonal pieces move along them as if they were orthogonal, particularly the forward and backward. So right now, this guard, or this king, despite also having the exact same movement as the guard, is targeting that square because of the halls. Oh look, it looks like a normal king. But it's not, because if it was here, it would only be able to go to these 3 squares. Boom. Cannon drop. Rook takes. Promoted rook takes. Rook drop. Soldier captures horse, promotes to rook. Why not promotes to cannon there with check? Like, that feels obvious to me. Especially with this. Because, like, what do? You drop another piece in the way? Like, I don't know. Cannon drop with check. Rook moves. Lance drop, targeting the cannon. Horse drop in order to prevent this square from being protected if you did something like if you got a rook in hand. So there's this line. This was the line they played initially, where promoted rook takes guard, rook takes shogi rook, horse takes rook, shogi rook drop, and now promotes. And because the cannon protects that square, it's just mate. Cool, right? On this line, it's silver drops here because the horse is preventing you from being able to try to play for something like that. Rook drop here. Promoted rook takes shogi pawn. Gold takes shogi rook. Silver drop. Guards drop. King takes guard. Rook takes lance. King moves back, lance drop, checkmate. Okay, so we walked through a game of Titan's Battalion, how it works with the extra gating. Alright, I will record another video explaining the Shang-Chi rework.